How's it going, guys? So I just want to make this video to go over some things about the Subaru WRX and hopefully answer the question of should you buy one. So here's mine. It's 2013. Let's go inside the car. It's pretty windy out here. Alright, so we're in the interior of the 2013 Subaru WRX. Let me go and start it up for you. This is my own car. I've had it since 2012, so almost 4 years now. I'm the original owner. So some of the things I'm going to go over in this video, interior quality, reliability of course, and things to look for when you're buying a used one. And also I'm just going to go over some things about the car that you might want to know, how it performs, things like that. So first off with the interior. Interior quality is not very good. It is hard plastics pretty much all around the dash, center console, doors, hard plastic. It is pretty much an economy car interior, since this car is essentially just based off of a just a regular Subaru Impreza. So that's something to know, something to consider when you're buying one of these cars. Another thing with this car is the speakers. Stock speakers are not very good, you should know. I replaced mine with aftermarket speakers and an aftermarket subwoofer, but stock, they were not good, not very good, so something to know if you're looking to buy one of these cars. Head unit is alright though. It's, it gets the job done, and you do have your aux cord and USB connections there, along with Bluetooth streaming and Bluetooth calling and all that stuff. You do have steering wheel controls, as you can see, volume up, skipping tracks, cruise control settings. So you do get steering wheel controls, which is pretty nice. I use them a lot. Turn signal bar here. You have just your regular controls there. Nothing too fancy here. Power mirrors, windshield wipers, duh. And you get all your basic stuff in this car. It's nothing too fancy. But the interior overall, it's well laid out. It is nothing crazy about it, and that's what I kind of like about it. It's just simple and to the point, and I really like how the AC knobs are just right there. They're very easy to mess with. Some of these other cars, like in BMWs, it's just, I don't know, there's like really tiny buttons and it's just kind of hard to work with. But with this, it's very simple, and that's what I like about it. I sometimes, prefer the non-luxury interiors for that reason. And I'll talk about the back seat here. Room in the back seat it's decent. It's all right. I haven't had many complaints from passengers back there. It gets the job done. I mean, it's not a very big car. It's a small sedan, but it still holds people comfortably. And what's nice is the seats do fold down, so you can definitely get a lot of extra cargo room that way. I don't think the seats don't fold down in the Evo as far as I know. So that's a plus with this car. Anyways, I'll talk about some of the trims of the car. So if you're looking at some of these cars, you may notice you have the base trim, then you have the premium trim, and then you have the limited trim. Now, with mine is the base. As you see here, I have these like blank buttons here. Now in the premium or limited, those would be heated seats there. So that's one thing to consider. And with the premium and limited, you also have fog lights standard. With the base model, you can get fog lights installed pretty easily, but they don't come standard. The sport cloth is standard with the base model and the premium trim. Limited does get you leather seats. I personally like the cloth a little better. My friend did have a limited, and I sat in his car a lot, and it was nice, but the leather was nice. But ultimately, the sport cloth, I think, goes a lot better with the image of the WRX and kind of what you're getting when you get into this car. It just fits it a little better, if that makes sense. But to each his own, definitely. If you want to get a limited, then go for it. Another difference is the base model, of course, has no sunroof. You get a Sunroof on the Premium, I don't know if it's standard on the Premium or not. I'm pretty sure it is. So that's one thing to consider. Also, in the back, mine has the base, how do you call it? I guess the lip spoiler. It's not the big STI wing, which is of course only available on the STI. But on the Premium models, the little wing comes standard. And on the base model, it's just wingless. Mine was wingless. I don't know if you can tell, but I do have the Premium lip spoiler on there. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Some people like the look of the wingless better. Some people like the spoiler better. So something to keep in mind. You also have fuel economy readings. I don't know if you can see that in that light. I don't think you can. But you go down here. I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't think you can. There's a lot of sun. Or maybe you can. Yeah, 23.4. That's my average MPG. And I drive pretty conservative. So when I first got the car, I was probably getting about 18, 17. But as as the car gets broken in and you start driving it more, and also you just probably start driving it more conservatively, you will get a better MPGs. So one thing to keep in mind, the EPA estimates are 19 city, 25 highway, and that is of course a premium gas. You can only use premium gas in this car. Next area that I'll talk about is reliability. So a lot of people ask if these cars are reliable, and so basically there are a couple things with this car that should be known, and that is first the transmission. The transmission is a 5-speed, and the gearbox is not very strong. So if someone has been doing a lot of launches in their car and driving it really hard and just slamming through gears all day, then that's something to think about, because these transmissions are not very strong, like I said, and they're not gonna be able to handle a lot of hard driving and stuff like that. So that's one thing to know. They are known to fail, so something to keep in mind there. Another thing is the engine itself, of course, and there's an issue with the head gaskets in this car. They are pretty weak, so that's one thing to consider. If the car has been driven very hard and it's been modded particularly, and it's running a lot of boost or something like that, then you can definitely run into some issues. I have numerous friends who have had their WRXs, had their head gaskets blown, and that is a very, very large repair, especially if you're out of warranty, and that's a pretty big deal. So it's something to keep in mind. So that's why it's important, if you're looking at one of these cars used, that you make sure, or do your best to make sure that it's been well maintained, well taken care of, and not driven hard, and not heavily modded. If it's been a stage 2, if it's had a stage 2 tune, something like that, then that's not really a big deal. But if it's anything really more than that, and it's hard to know because a lot of people just revert it back to stock. But if you can find out if it's been modded heavily, then that you should probably stay away from that one in particular. Look for one that's preferably one owner. Definitely get it Carfax certified. Make sure it's hasn't been any wrecks or anything like that, and to make sure it's been maintained regularly. And as far as high mileage on these cars, since the cars are still relatively new, it's hard to say how well these cars do past like 100,000 miles. People don't really know at this point. I personally really haven't. I've seen maybe one that's had about 100,000 miles, and then that was just one for sale that I saw. But other than that, I mean, I haven't really known anyone who's driven these cars for that long and put that many miles in them. So it's hard to say as far as how they fare after a lot of miles. But I can say that if you have one and you maintain it well and you don't drive it hard, don't launch it definitely, then I don't see why you couldn't go past 100,000 miles and drive this car for a long time, because Subarus are definitely reliable cars, but they're kind of finicky, I guess is the right word to say, in that particularly with the turbo ones, that you just have to do extra little things to make sure that nothing bad happens. In this car, in this case, like I said, don't launch it, and also don't drive it too hard. and don't mod it too hard, because the head gaskets are pretty weak, and they're, that definitely can result in some bad things happening. So, should you buy one of these cars? So, if you're looking for something with a lot of practicality, a lot of performance, good acceleration, good power, good fuel economy, then I think you will definitely like the Subaru WRX. I definitely love this car. I think it's a great car, lots of fun to drive. But if you are looking at one of these, at this point you can only get them used, so you can't get a new one. But definitely try and look for one that has had all of its maintenance done. Make sure you get all the maintenance records. Get a mechanic to check it out to make sure there's no engine issues, anything like that. And ideally you want to get one that's not been modded, not been molested. It's hard to tell, but do your best to try and get a stock one. And yeah, then I think you will definitely be happy with this car, and you will be surprised by its reliability. And when you do get one, if you do get a good stock, good example model of one, then personally I would advise you to not go crazy with modifications. You can do an exhaust, you can do an intake, you can do a tune, and if you do get an exhaust and intake, definitely get a tune. But anything further than that, I would probably advise against it. It's just not really worth it. And these engines are not that strong, and the transmission definitely isn't that strong. So just keep that in mind if you want. One more thing is, if you do end up getting one of these cars, I would advise that you definitely go on to get a stage 1 tune instead of the stock tune, because the stock tune is actually, believe it or not, pretty terrible. The car doesn't run very well on it, and it's not very reliable with it, believe it or not. You can do more research into that yourself and find out why that is. Anyways, I hope you guys like this video. If you have any questions about this car, just let me know. I have a lot of experience with this model. A lot of friends have this car, and I've been in the Subaru community for a while now. So yeah, just let me know. I'm happy to help. And yeah, so that's it. All right, guys. See you later.